unfortunately I forgot to put on my... yeah, okay, something is really not going on. Not really working well with my stream today. Also, the Twitch chat didn't really work out. Sorry for that. So I couldn't really see it. Hopefully you will realize in 2 minutes what's going on. So, yeah, at least what I was talking about was a lot of stuff that WyScion was actually doing and could have been doing, which he actually decided against. Piscolita really had not a lot of choice than trying to deal some damage herself. After her base being delayed for so long, is now losing all of her units in this push against WyScion towards the natural base. And actually I think that's almost game here. These Stalkers will also get intercepted and taken out by all of these links, and then all of Piscolita's forces will have been destroyed. She's still kinda okay-ish worker-wise, but the problem is that she never had the chance to get up a new nexus here. At least there's a proxy pylon down here that could actually be used for some harassment later on if Piscolita survives long enough. Again, she just doesn't have the means in order to save that base. Actually, I don't know, she actually had 4 units down here. I think she could have actually taken those out. Nice force field here, at least getting her revenge on these Zerglings, but I think it would have been way more important to at least get this base up, but unfortunately she was not... she was not comfortable moving out with a few units she had, trying to save it. So again, she's still on 1 base, her opponent already taking a 3rd behind this attack, and Piscolita is still on 1, even taking a 4th, because why not, she can. She probably forced Piscolita into panic mode. Now Piscolita will probably just sit back a little bit here, trying to finally get up a base, while her main base is already getting pretty low on minerals here. And yeah, I mean, at the time when Piscolita finally manages to get that first base up, her opponent will already be sitting on 4, and is already getting a lair done. Might actually just switch into muters, and once the muter switch gets out, I think this will be pretty much game. I mean, the economy of WyScion will exponentially get bigger than that of her opponent. WyScion in the meantime has some roaches out just in case her opponent actually wants to come over. She actually doesn't have an overlord in place, so would actually never realize when her opponent actually was moving out. But yeah, like I said, I mean, she still has some lava left, more roaches in production. So even if Piscolita were to move across the map trying to engage her opponent, her army would just get well, actually, I mean, with very, very good force fields in some sort of choke point, having the zealots in front, having the 1 immortal in the back shooting at the roaches, she might actually be able to deal some damage. But yeah, WyScion realizes with the first scouting link that there's actually a lot on top of the ramp, doesn't really want to engage and lose these units for nothing, and she doesn't have to. She's in a very comfortable situation. The only thing she needs to do right now is make sure that her opponent does not sneak up on her, maybe with some Dark Templars or something. Getting the first Ravagers out now and preparing for the push that might actually be the end of all things. There are force fields, but force fields can be broken by the Ravager shots. So let's see. And even getting some of these units out in the open because Piscolita was not paying attention, putting them on hold command. A little bit unfortunate they are just waiting for the Leader Reconstitution to finish. And while Piscolita is doing her best trying to tech up, she only has 2 immortals out. I don't know if it's going to be enough, especially not if the force fields are not there in order to keep a majority of these units out. And like I said, force fields can be destroyed by the Ravagers. Of course, then the Ravager Biles will not hit the army. But yeah, I mean, these sentries don't have energy for all the time. So, let's see, 12 more drones in the making. WyScion just needs to contain her opponent for a little longer. Nice little observer there by Piscolita, so she actually sees where the army is and if she wants to engage or not. But like I said, I mean, all that WyScion needs to do is just contain her opponent for a little longer. The Spire is already on the way. She's already gathering a lot of resources so that she will be able to probably produce like 10, probably about 10 muters maybe 12 once the Spire eventually... No, probably 10. 10 mutas once the Spire eventually pops. We actually have a lot of Stalkers here, but still, I mean, she will have to defend 2 fronts at once. The one that protects her base, and mutas then can just fly in, and if she retreats the Stalkers in order to defend against the mutas back in her main base, the rest of the forces will just come in here and crush the rest of the army that's on the ground. So eventually it's going to be very problematic for Piscolita to hold this. We already see the 50 supply difference almost, and I mean, it's kind of okay. Most of that is in drones and not in army value, and it's still kind of a low-tech army for WyScion, but like I said, actually not going into mutas here. She gathered a lot of resources but is not building any mutas, is instead putting most of it into, well, some of it into banelings. I really wonder, and some of it into upgrades. So, oh no, never mind, there they are. Okay, don't know what's up with me, people, never mind. It's the first game of the evening, and I'm obviously not on top of my observation skills, but it will get better, I promise. So, there are the mutas, and like I said, this is of course the big problem. WyScion actually not going for a full-out frontal assault in the meantime, but she could have, so I'm really wondering what she's waiting for. I mean, she gave away the mutas right now, could have just easily went in with the rest of the units that are now unprotected right in front of the base. The mass amount of links could have easily wrapped around all of these forces while Piscolita was paying attention, trying to get rid of these pesky mutas here. It still might be happening. I mean, the mutas are still here, so there it is. Double-pronged attack, and like I said, the links wrapping around all of the forces of Piscolita. Good force fields, but they just don't matter anymore. GG, and WyScion takes the first map. So, here we are on Blood Boil, this time around with sound and everything. So, spawning to the top left-hand corner, leading 1-0, it's WyScion. And to the bottom right, in red, the one who picked this map to continue the best of 5. That leads to the semifinals of the Season 3 playoffs. It's Piscolita. So, Blood Boil just got recently changed. This used to be a gold base, but it's not anymore. And Blood Boil has some very interesting layouts for a map. There's a back pocket expansion that has considerably more mineral patches, but only 1 gas. While there's a front door expansion that has just the usual amount of minerals and gas. And yeah, like I said before, this used to be a gold base, but it is not anymore, got changed for balance reasons. So WyScion already taking the front the front natural expansion, probably wants to either be able to make use of the double gas, or she just wants to get creep towards her opponent a little bit more quickly, or maybe both. So Piscolita being annoying with that one little probe, already sees the spawning pool after the extractor, but this is a normal hatchery first build, nothing all too unusual. Piscolita decides to take the more easily secured Nexus and the back pocket expansion, while sealing off the main entrance with a rather interesting wall off that is pretty wide open actually. So we'll see. That's really an odd positioning of these 3 buildings. Or it just looks more open than it actually is, I don't really know. Overlord will see the wide opening as well. First 2 Zerglings in production, but only 2 so far. We also get Metabolic Boost, but that's just a typical upgrade. You actually always want to have speed. And most often you also want to have speed as quickly as possible. So nothing too unconventional here from WyScion this time around. Probably just wants to play a standard macro game this time around. If she wants to do so, we will probably see her taking that 3rd base fairly quickly. Maybe even that 3rd base in order to get 6 gases up more quickly. Also, Spinecrawler here is probably expecting Piscolita to be more aggressive this time around. Okay, first adept already on its move. The Lynx will actually get in. No way to stop this. Whoa! Except for Photon Overcharge, which he actually uses here. But like I said, this is still a very wide open entrance here. I don't think that actually one Zealot would close this off completely. And then it also looks to me as if there is a wide gap as well. But maybe, no. This should actually be open, right? So, a little bit odd. And this is also not enough. This one Zealot is not enough in order to seal this off. So, robotics facility right behind. Seems as if Piscolita wants to go for a warp prism push on 2 bases this time around. Probably wants to take out her opponent with a timing push. And I think that's actually a good idea. I mean, WyScion on paper is the favorite in this matchup. If Piscolita actually wants to take a map off of her, it will probably not be in a drawn-out macro game. And WyScion this time around actually going for the Overlord Dropperage. Does she have some links in front as well? No, only this one. So now getting inside the main base, there's not much to protect this. We have a Stalker and the Zealot, both fairly slow units. I mean, the Stalker is quicker, but it's not that good against Lynx. But the Mothership Core is fairly close by. We have pylons in place for Photon Overcharge, but of course, all Scion... my god. Of course, WyScion can just easily either return into the Overlord, which will probably not get taken out by only 2 Stalkers, or she could have just run by into the mineral line of the natural base. So far, actually, this didn't do as much damage as she might have liked, but of course it buys her time to go right into lair. No third base yet. Only droning up on these bases here, so we're probably going to see some sort of timing push out of WyScion as well. Is going into the infestation pit. We might actually see something, some sort of rush out of here. I don't think that this infestation pit is supposed to be for infestors, although she could use them, maybe infest us with Burrow, but I just actually think she rather wants to rush to Hive pretty quickly. And then maybe go into either Brute Lords or Ultras. So we'll see. Does she know about the Robo? No, she does not. So if she knew about the Robo, I would expect her to go into Brute Lords more quickly. Okay, there the infestation bit is done. Okay, finally a third base right now. But that was a really straight rush up to the infestation pit. Oh, Swarm Host, never mind. Yeah, of course, should have thought about that. And with Swarm Host, she will... Yeah, of course, this is just the perfect map for Swarm Host. Now it all makes sense. She can just send them here. There's no way to attack downwards and can just send in Locust Wave one after another in order to kill this mineral line and every building that's close to the edge. So we'll see it. Even can do the same thing over here. Just can park some Locusts over here and send the Locust Waves into there in order to take out that base as well. So yeah. If you are not going for some Stargate-related opening, this will probably wreck you pretty hard, because unfortunately there are so many places where they can fly into your base and you cannot really counterattack, because you would just have to run around all this map in order to get here and take them out. And the same over here. I mean, these are actually a little bit more problematic, but you could actually take out this rock tower before that, and then these units are safe as well. I mean, these are the only ones that would be vulnerable, should they be there. But actually, okay, never mind. WyScion doesn't really go for the tricky route. She just actually attacks right at the front, and will just try to take out and trade as many free units against as many costly units as she can. Is producing 5 more Swarm Hosts at the same time, and Piscolita needs to make an immediate decision how she wants to deal with these Swarm Host waves. Yeah, just retreating a little bit is actually not even getting Burrow, just uses the great mobility of the Swarm Hosts that have kind of a long cooldown, but it's not that long. I think it's about 60... no, okay. Locusts have an 18-second time life, but yeah, how long does it actually take before it... Okay, 33 seconds. So 43 seconds is actually not that long. It's pretty long if all of these get attacked. Okay, and again, just the same thing. Trading off free units against costly units, especially against all of these very costly Immortals. Here you can see almost the entire army die to these Locust Waves. 15 more drones being made in order to saturate that base up a little bit more quickly. But yeah, like I said, she could have used them on at several locations in order to really be a nuisance to her opponent. But yeah, fighting straight up is of course a choice if you have that many swarm holes out. Yeah, Piscolita realized that she cannot fight these straight up, and so she rather wants to evacuate everything and is now moving out, because now they should be vulnerable, but unfortunately more than half of them have a locust spawn available, so they will again just get a good chunk of this army. And also got all of this mineral line because Piscolita unfortunately didn't pull all of these workers away. So the first locust wave got 17 worker kills already. Fourth base already up for WyScion, is even taking a fifth right behind it, while Piscolita is struggling keeping this base alive. And again, the locusts run in this time around even with a few more zerglings in order to protect these swarmhosts. Should these units try to engage, Piscolita again just trying to move backwards, trying to get some sort of army together, but is not really having a plan how to deal with this. Yeah, and locust waves take out buildings so quickly, it's rather ridiculous. So now the swarm wolves move in a little bit closer. Piscolita tries to engage and take them out before the locusts spawn, but they are just too late. The locusts wave dragging everything to death with them. Piscolita trying to build the third base once more, but another locust wave is already incoming. Okay, never mind, but there the next one is ready. And lings are incoming as well. Actually, should these lings get a good wrap around here and keeping these units from retreating, now the whole army will die. GG, and WyScion takes the second map as well. Sequencer is our third map in this best of 5. Spawning to the bottom left-hand corner in purple, it's our Zerg WyScion, playing for Raw Inspiration. And to the top right, in red, we have Piscolita, who's down 0-2. And without being mean, the odds were stacked against her right from the start. She's struggling, trying her best to deal with the relentless aggression of her opponent, and yet WyScion is going for the double proxy hatch this time around. I mean, of course, she would have to do it at least once throughout her series. Okay, Piscolita actually scouting that one drone is moving across the map. If she knows, and she should know WyScion's playstyle, she should know that something is probably up. I mean, yeah, there are some Zergs out there, even in the FSL, that do drone scouts, but I mean, if you know WyScion and if you see a Zergling, if you see a drone moving towards your base, you should actually know what's up. Okay, second drone incoming. We'll probably build a base in base. But yeah, it's moving in, and like I said, I mean, Piscolita needs to know what's up right now. There's the other proxy hatch right inside. This is actually what WyScion wants. She doesn't really want the other base somewhere where her opponent does not see it. She wants to force a reaction out of her opponent with that base. And if the opponent doesn't, it will still be very problematic. But yeah, I mean, she really wants her opponent to engage this base rather than that one. That's why she presents it this openly, right inside the base. And I mean, we've seen this build quite often. It's very powerful and difficult to hold if you haven't seen it before and if you don't know what to do, even if you do. The execution in holding this is rather hard to do, especially since WyScion will go roaches with Burrow right in the middle of it. So usually that's actually the biggest problem with this build. I mean, and we can see Piscolita actually doing the same mistakes like all the other players did against this build. She's getting more buildings in order to deal with the aggression that's headed her way, but she does not get a robo. And without a robo, she will lack mobile detection, and that will actually come back to haunt her later on. So let's see, this hatchery will probably die fairly easy, no problem, giving this base the time to get spine crawlers done, getting a queen out, getting some units rallied across the map, so no problem here. Like I said, this is just the bait hatch over here. But of course, if you don't take care of it, it can become more than a bait hatchery over here. So in the meantime, WyScion is just setting everything up. The Photon Overcharge is keeping these lings out for now. Spinecrawl is now moving towards. The biggest problem right now is they actually don't have any vision upwards the ramp, or do they? They should actually not have. So this base is almost taken out, but not quite. So there we see the Roach Horn right behind it, and like I said, we will see Burrow probably come in a little bit later. So, Stalkers getting taken out by these Zerglings, but good position here for Piscolita so far. Unfortunately, now with the Queen up the ramp, the Spine Crawlers actually do have vision upwards the ramp and will be able to take out that gateway. It's only one gateway, so it's not really the biggest deal, so Piscolita can actually afford to lose it, no problem. It's actually doing a great deal of holding this so far. In the meantime, we have a Queen back here being a nuisance as well, also planting some creep here, making it more difficult, but Piscolita now pulls the probes, trying to take out that Queen at least and deal with it, while the Stalkers try to take care of the forces that are on top in front of her base, and actually so far she's doing a quite nice job here of holding everything. First 5 roaches are in the making. Do they already have Burrow or not? I don't really know. Like I said, usually WyScion goes for Burrow with these roaches, so that it will be more problematic for a Protoss player to deal with them if they don't have detection, but not so far I think, or I rather missed it while it was going on. WyScion actually struggling making this happen here this time around. So seems Piscolita actually worked something out against this build so far. Okay, this time around going for the Ravagers and not for the Burrow Roaches. Probably she might actually have just switched it up either because she was expecting her opponent to know what was going on, or because she just saw that her opponent was actually holding this better than she expected, and thus transitioning into Ravagers rather than Burrow Roaches. So we'll see. Right now just dropping down a few biles, getting the Mothership Core, which is a bit problematic for Piscolita, but I think it didn't have any more energy anyways. So far, like I said, Piscolita doing a good job of holding this, especially with the force fields, keeping these units down the ramp, making it impossible for them to see upwards. And finally, she gets the Spine Crawler out of the way, which is, again, a very big deal already. She's getting a lot of units out here, and is looking kinda okay so far. 22 workers to 25. The income is really not indicative of anything, because both players are just on one base, and are oversaturated anyways. So it doesn't really matter as much. Ooh, good Bidle Rain there, getting one Stalker out of the equation. Yeah, and of course the Contain is real, but it will only help WyScion if she goes back into droning and taking a second base of her own. Piscolita now deciding to move out. The problem is, will this be enough? I mean, the Zealots trying to take out a lot of these units down here. Transfuse going down of one of the Ravagers. The rest of the units moving down as well. Do not want to stay inside the Bile Rain here. Good dodge there by Piscolita, and it seems as if she just may barely be able to take out the remaining units here with the remaining Stalkers, clearing everything up, and Piscolita has held. Nicely done there. In the meantime, WyScion desperately trying to get out a second base now, after realizing that her Contain won't hold for much longer. Piscolita right now trying to tear down this base first, will probably then engage WyScion's natural base as well. I mean, she should definitely do that. Not fight against these Broodlings, they might actually get trade against one Stalker again. At least hurting these units. Yeah, now the best she can do right now is just leave this Lava Bee and start walking across the map, attacking this base immediately. This is like the most important part that Piscolita needs to do. I mean, she's not really that far ahead. She held. She has considerable lead in the supply. That's that's only coming from army units, so she has to make good use of these army units, and she has a mothership core with her. So even if her opponent tried to do something like run-bys, or if she actually faces an army that's too strong for her to beat, she can still recall out, no problem. But yeah, I like this aggression a lot. Can even actually force field the ramp and take out this base, no problem. If she manages to kill this base and realizes that there's a third one in the making as well, she should be able to take this, being one base ahead. But so far, actually, WyScion is economically on the better side. We can actually see this in the income tab. So let's see, will she be able to take this out? This is not a lot of Roach Ravager, but it is a significant army. Okay, good catch here with the force fields. Might actually be able to take out the Ravagers, but the Ravager shots are also good, bringing these Ravagers back to safety. We'll lose one over here, but of course Piscolita has to be careful, does not want to stand in those vials. Otherwise she could actually lose this army, and she does not really want to lose it. Spinecrawler goes up, and now actually it will be very difficult for her to break this. Should actually transfer out, but the Mothership core is really low, could actually get sniped even by the Queen. And Piscolita GG's out. WyScion takes the third map as well and advances to the semi-finals.